Our final best of 3 of today, Shopify Rebellion against SSG. Both have locked in their spot for Munich. However, only one can punch a ticket straight to the grand final. I'm your host, Jeannie, and I'm joined with Foxay and Lax. And because Lax lost rock, paper, scissors, he's going to be covering the match at hand. SR SSG.
No, it's going to be a good game. Honestly, both these teams watching them today has been very fun. Even coming into playoffs, it's been a bright new existence for both these teams, I'd say the least. Where Shopify Rebellion, they're fixing a lot of their mistakes on their attacking side. As for SSG, it's just about really momentum shifting and being able to bring their support players alive, where we've seen Fultz and J90 really come alive.
See, that wasn't so hard now, was it?
Well, I've done like 17 at this point. I may as well be good at it.
I didn't say you're good at it. I just said it wasn't that difficult. SSG, though, first roster that we're going to be having a look at. And this is something that we've touched upon a lot, where this roster is just working so well together after they've had a little bit of a stumbling at the beginning of the stage.
Yeah, I mean, we needed to see them play more team-oriented and have their supporting staff show up to be there with the rest of the team, because we know players like Ashton and Newers are always going to find success, get the kills, get in the positions that they need, clutch big rounds. So we just needed Fultz and J90 to be able to pick it up. And since playoffs, that's exactly what they've been doing. And it's only amplified the front line that much more. If you thought Ashton and Newers couldn't get any scarier, well, if they have their supports behind them, the drones behind them, the utility with them, it makes them that much better. And we saw that displayed today against M80, specifically with Ashton completely shutting them down. I mean, Shopify Rebellion's had Spoit, SSG has had Ashton, and that has been the key to their success, is when they play all together as a team, because they're so aggressive of a team that, yes, it's very easy for the supports to get left behind in the dust. But when they're able to connect the dots together, get the opening kills, play together, close out the rounds. Very simple in theory, but because of how fast they are, you can easily get mixed matched on who's going, when they're going. So SSG just needs to be able to continue that, calming it down after that opening pick and closing it out.
Yeah, but the fact that they don't always necessarily calm things down and take it easy was very apparent in the first map, because, I mean, even on the interview, Ashton said it himself, this was a map that we should have had.
Yeah, SSG should have easily been able to close it out in the 2-0. Specifically in this game, they had every single round and the opening kills in their side of the favor. They just didn't need to overcomplicate it. A lot of these times they get the pick, and then one person over peaks to try to, sweeten the deal and get more kills, and unfortunately they lose until eventually they lose that opening pressure, that opening kill that they had on their side. And SR, because they were, or not SR, M80, because they were disciplined, was able to bring rounds back and clutch it out off of their big individual players. But then we saw SSG auto-corrected in the last 2 maps. They closed out those opening kills. So now, going against a team like SR, which I would say is on another level than M80, we need to make sure that those mistakes aren't even happening in map 1, aren't even happening in round 1, so that SSG can just look clean all the way through.
Yeah, also a little bit of a great thing for SSG here is they've already played their game today, so they are warmed up and ready to go. Same thing for SR though. But SR, when we're looking at this roster, I think last best of 3 specifically was such a great highlight and just proof that it doesn't matter whichever player you pick off, there is always going to be a threat somewhere.
I think that's something important to know. We're talking about players on SSG being able to be amplified. We're looking at this entire Shopify Rebellion roster being amplified specifically on those attacks. I mean, we've talked to Troy many times. We talked to Spoit. Throughout the beginning of this stage, they never were finding a lot of success on the attacks. If anything, they were falling short in many of those areas, which is why we didn't see SR at the top of the charts like we had been. That's where they faltered throughout the stage. But you got to go back. They fixed everything, and coming into playoffs, they have been very dominant on their attacking half. That is what really propelled them in that first stage that we're seeing now here. And even just talking about amplifying players, what we just saw from Spoit that last game, I mean, four quad kills in that game to close out that series against Oxygen was so strong. But it goes back to what the casters were saying. You can't count any single individual on this player. I made this point during the first stage that every single one of these players has the resilience, can bring a round back. Doesn't matter if the odds are stacked up against them. They always find it within them to be able to bring it back. And Spoit coming out hot, wanting to punch that spot for Munich. He already did that. They're coming off of this win very hot, very convincing. And again, the biggest thing for me when we're looking at this team is not just from their attacks, but those opening engagements. And we want to compare the two where it's SSG versus Shopify Rebellion. That is where SR will thrive in this matchup, is being able to get those opening engagements and also being able to reel the players back in, where that's always been SSG's Achilles heel, is when they get too overzealous. Yes, they might have beat them on Clubhouse. Yes, that wasn't the same blame Shopify Rebellion. But again, that over-aggression from SSG really is their Achilles heel, where Shopify Rebellion has done a very good job throughout any iteration of this roster of being able to maintain and control that tempo.
Yeah, but before we even get into this, again, it's important to know that it is a best of 3, which means that map veto is going to play a huge part as well. Something that we touched upon last game specifically for Shopify Rebellion was the fact that we weren't necessarily sure if they would be able to take down OXG on their own map pick, but they were able to. So it feels like their map pool has gone a lot deeper than maybe we were initially expecting.
For Shopify Rebellion's map pool? Yeah, I mean, of course, there's no bad map for either one of these two teams. And I really like SSG just instantly ego peeking the border because Shopify Rebellion's not going to have time to be able to swap things up on it. SSG is a very hyper-aggressive team. And again, so to say, yeah, OXG was a little bit better, but from the sample size of playing against OXG, a lot of those rounds were Spoit huge 4Ks, and OXG not looking that great. When we saw Shopify Rebellion play against Wildcard, they look very human. Yes, it's a different team, but I would still argue SSG should be able to get this win, especially since they have fresh footage to be able to adapt on the fly with.
I mean, both maps are actually extremely comfortable for both these teams. I'm expecting a slugfest. I honestly couldn't tell you who's going to come out on top here. I do, however, like the pick for Shopify here on Shopify Rebellion going into this cafe. It's a very comfortable map for them. They're 6-0 on it, where I believe SSG is 5-1 on the record. So again, both maps extremely comfortable, but I am really looking more at the forefront of that border, like you were saying, not allowing Shopify Rebellion to be able to find the stride, being able to change anything. So it really is going to be on Troy to be able to move pieces around or even change a little bit of the style.
Yeah, I mean, the players are absolutely ready to go, but before we send it off, I want really quick predictions from both of you.
Shopify Rebellion.
Oh, you... SSG.
Okay, a little bit of a disagreement here on the desk, SSG, Shopify, but we are ready to head into our final best of 3 of today. One-way tickets to grand finals. Is it going to be Shopify Rebellion? Is it going to be SSG? I don't know, but either way, let's head over to our casters. We're doing a little bit of a switcheroo. It is Ollie and Lynx. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jenny. And I have to say, Ollie, considering that we were there for the culmination of SSG's lower bracket run last stage, I think you and I, as much as we sometimes love to hate this team, it is always from a place of love and bewilderment at what they can accomplish. And I have to say, you and I going into this game, I think you and I are a bit higher on SSG than I think people might think, and clearly than the socials think.
It's the recency bias, in my opinion, Lynx. I think there's a lot of recency bias here, given that we have just seen the Rebellion play, and we've just seen them win. We've just seen them win 2-0 as well. And you look at it on the balance of things, and you think, oh, well, it took SSG 3 maps to win their series. So, ergo, SR are the better team. That's not really how it works. We've got to look a little bit deeper into how and why we got there. I believe SSG played a better opponent in M80 to make it to this game, and that without outstanding individual performances on the side of the Rebellion, we would be sat here watching Shopify Rebellion versus OXG map 3 right now. So with that now in mind, and thinking about the map that we're coming to now being border, and thinking about the fact that SSG are built for best of 3s. Like, it's such a brawler team. And I think that's one of the reasons why we love them, is because we like to see them in the trenches because they play their best siege when their back's up against the wall. Now, is the back up against the wall? No, they've already qualified for Munich, but there's a lot of SI points on the line here.
There's a lot of SI points on the line, and that's ultimately what we need to be thinking about, because while like Ollie said, both these teams have qualified for Munich, we don't exactly have, with no SI points coming in from Reload, the first kind of taste of them coming in Regional League Stage 1, a lot of teams are basically neck and neck, especially a lot of the top teams are neck and neck, just because of we haven't had a big major yet. So doing the best you can in these domestic leagues is going to, one, get you more SI points, but also it's going to be a good insurance policy. Let's say you go to Munich, and let's talk about SSG. While they might be really good, sometimes they have a bit of a chance to bomb out when you least expect. This is insurance to make sure you get a good seed for regional finals and that you might be able to go very, very far. Somebody who's been going quite far today has been Benja on the side of SSG. Earlier today, top-rated player for Spacestation in that game against M80, and unfortunately, well, the kill on Spoit would be the only one he's got, but Ali, what an impactful kill that is, because Spoit, he himself, sure, he had a good game today. We'll we can give him credit for that one. But he's had a great couple days, too. He was the defining player for Shopify Rebellion against DZ yesterday. 27 kills in the series we just watched. Taking that player out, that's a win.
Could be a bit of a battle that's going to brew that sort of EU rivalry there between Spoit and Benja over the course of this series. Wouldn't be surprised to see them both heavily involved in a lot of these opening engagements. He's slowing down for a time as Fultz will take Canadian out. Some nice space there created at the bottom of those east stairs. It does give SSG a brief advantage now. There was some fairly early action, but that isn't untoward. That kill from Newers onto Surf, though, really opens up this top floor.
He really opens it up entirely. Ashen's just made his way into the site. He's setting up air jabs to stop anybody from retaking. Ambi's got to fall back with 1:18 seconds left. Nice shot onto Ashen, but the site has fallen, and so has the, I suppose, pre-plant phase, and we move into the post. Really well-placed one. That MX4, one of the fastest fire rate guns in the game. We just don't see Alibi often enough for players to make use of her. Ambi's got 2 so far. Make that a third. I have to say, some of the gunfights we've seen today, the shots we've seen hit in yesterday's series and today are just mind-blowing. But unfortunately, NB will only get style points for that round as SSG take the first.
Good attacking round there for SSG on border. There was a lot of talk from the desk, specifically Lax talking about the sort of prowess of Shopify Rebellion's ability to attack. SSG aren't too far behind. That is to be clear. But realistically, when you're dealing with a team like SSG and you're dealing with a map like Border, we can just see how quickly they are wanting to really get in and amongst the action here. That opening pick over onto Spoit, I mean, happened at what, 2 minutes 35? So you've watched only 30 seconds of the round at that point, and already you're seeing opening picks come through. I think that's probably a sign of things to come here today for SSG and how they want to approach these border attacks.
Yeah, and a map that's famously good for SSG. They will feel comfortable on this. So, though famously good, maybe not as much recently, but it is something they will feel comfortable on. Shutting down Spoit will continue to be the name of the game. Of course, it will not be guaranteed to get you a victory, but given the fact that he's on 65 kills between 2 days so far, I think it's perfectly fair to make that a priority for anybody playing on Space Station. Ventilation defense, which means we'll see the bulk of Armory defended for at least part of this round. Serve also potentially playing up here the majority of the time in case anybody rushes in to go for a plant. You can activate that Specchio scanner, deny it from above. We'll see what SSG decide to do. The team that always keeps you guessing. They can play fast and loose, and while they can play a bit slower, they do have a preference for that flare. At the moment, it'll just be Newers hacking a lot of the cams at the moment. But once he's done with those clutch drones, he'll just walk around with the cameras and try to find frags.
A slower approach here for round number 2 as we head downstairs. With a bit of Brava action coming in. A Glass and a Deimos band, so quite a lot of flexibility really for SSG. And we know them to be a team that they like the tools, they like to bring a little bit of flair every now and then. This is something that they'll always heavily rely on though, and whilst this lineup hasn't got any of the sort of big flashy operators such as Ying and Capital, still got some good utility in there, particularly in that Dokkaebi. And of course, there's a plethora of things to hack on those clutch drones as well. A first Dokkaebi call going out, and it will just bait out a little bit of a reaction from Canadian, but it's actually going to be Rexing to fall. Newers is on a bit of a mad one today.
Yeah, doing quite well so far, holding flank outside of main door. Shopify Rebellion looking to retake the east side as it's a double swing the moment from Ambi and Spoit. Surf also coalescing on this side of the map. That will leave the Armory side very vacant. Everybody from the Rebellion just walking into crosshairs at the moment. Surf just hitting a shotgun pre-fire around the corner. It gets, I think, their first and only kill that entire round. You can tell that despite the Rebellion coming in hot off of a dominant 2-mapper over OXG, SSG still keeping that momentum from the M80 game earlier and their win over Wildcard yesterday.
One of the better teams to be able to do it as well, because it was something that Ashen said in the interview after they'd won their first game today, and he said he'd hit a hard reset. And the way that I sort of interpreted that was that he's like, closed his eyes. He's like pressed, he's pressed the power button until it turns off, and then he's kept hold of it until it turns back on again. Like when you're trying to restart your PC. It was like he'd gone through some sort of ritual, some sort of, I don't know, predetermined sort of plan of how he's going to reset himself. And that ability to reset that mental, it's something that SSG have, and it is such a strong ability. And we regularly see them and hear them talking about things like that. So their ability to be able to play 3 maps, reset, keep themselves in like a almost standby mode where they don't overheat, they don't cool down too much, they just stay very level, and then they're able to come and perform 2 rounds like this. Stun SR, by the way, into a tactical timeout super early. We've only seen 2 rounds here, and it's defensive border. Like, I'm not expecting to see the tactical timeout brought that quickly. We've not even seen a full site rotation yet. We're back up onto this top floor. SR are just struggling for answers right now.
A side that they went 4-2 on, not 30, 45 minutes ago. Obviously, just because you do well on a map earlier in the day isn't a guarantee that you'll do well on it later. But we have very recent evidence that the Rebellion are decent on it, and yet maybe Ollie, not to put the cart before the horse, but maybe it is on us to kind of look a bit deeper at that game and at that half specifically, because Parker during that cast made a big show of, I think the 4 4Ks from Spoit and 5 total if you include Rexon's 4K over the course of that series. There were 3 4Ks in the first half, a 1VX from Surf, and 4 out of the 6 rounds we saw played, Shopify Rebellion were starting down a man in the opening duel. This was a comeback of comebacks on the first half just to get that 4-2, a winning side. But there was a lot of individual performances necessary for it to fall into place from the Rebellion. So while they could still very much, put up a 4-2 half quite literally based on the score, maybe we should temper our expectations a little bit, because as SG have shown, they've come here to play, and if the Rebellion struggle in round 3 after this timeout, might have been a bit of a paper tiger, that border game against OXG.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't, well, it's not holding any weight at this point, is it? If SR have already taken a tactical timeout here, they're clearly trying to right some pretty significant wrongs, especially given that they're going back to this top floor bomb site again. One of SSG's abilities at the moment has just been to be able to pick off SR. It's almost like they make a problem in the site, open up a load of space, and then as the reaction comes through, they're able to then start picking up players as defenders start to rotate back. Ashen this time with the opening kill, and a question mark. I'm not sure what he needs explaining there. It may be rhetorical. I'm unsure right now. But it's going to be Canadian down and out, sent to the cameras. You can see he's still got plenty to flick. He's got the BP over in Armory as well. But it's another round here where SR are starting the round a man down. And as we've seen so far, it hasn't necessarily boded well. Usually when that first kill comes in, more soon follow. This time, a slightly slower approach. Benja still poking and prodding downstairs inside of Customs to ensure that there's no one able to rotate back into that CCTV room, as the rest of his team is looking to make a bit of an approach here through East.
Ooh, just spots one dropping down that hatch as well. SSG just shutting down Rebellion players left and right. The moment they find these angles, Ambi trying his luck might fare better than his fallen teammates. Won't find anything on Benja. It's instead Rexon to draw, well, I suppose, 3rd blood in this round so far. Surf with the 2nd to tie things up. It's taking some HP, but Shopify Rebellion maintain control of the site. With how this round started, that is the ultimate imperative. Benja creeping down below. One player, there's a left foot on that hatch. They wouldn't fall through, but you got to be careful of these vertical angles. Yeah, Benja too has to be careful of the time. Sat below, likely going to flash up through that hatch with the firebolt over. Push this player out of position. Maybe try to collapse on him. Find the angle through the floor. There's the feet. Great late round play, but are they able to get this diffuser down? Not a whole lot of time remaining as Fultz is good with the trade, but with Benja down below and the push up top failed on time, Surf will close it out. Another nail biter, another 1VX for Surf, but the Rebellion won't complain too much about how they get their first round on the board.
They've got to take anything that comes their way at the moment. A little bit of a slower paced round there from Space Station. And Benja suffering a little bit of unfortunate timing, but also a bit of good timing downstairs. I guess you can't have it both ways around. If there had been another 15 seconds in that round, You kind of fancy SSG's chances, especially after the vertical kill is found. But Fultz was left with little opportunity, with no time left remaining. He has to make a mad dash over toward that bomb chassis, as it's basically the only place that he can try and get a plant down with a little bit of cover and hope that his teammate is able to do the rest. Brilliant opener there from Ashen. This is the kill from Benji. You can see that coming in on 12 seconds. Fultz, good for 2. You could see he didn't really have any other options. I guess in hindsight, you could sit at the door and bait, but when you've not got time, you've got to be the one to make that move. And I don't think that Fultz will be kicking himself too much for that one. SR get the round that they needed in this series to get them on the board and to get that ball rolling. They're going to be able to chain it into another. It was a round where they started a man down, and it was another round where we had Surf clutch up. I tell you what a stage Surf is at Lynx.
Oh yeah, I mean, on the back line, you never think players like that are going to have, you know, much of an impact, because I think even though it's not really how the game works anymore, a lot of the, I think, stereotypical beginner kind of conception of the hard breach or support role maintains, but Surf has always been a very lethal backline player for the Rebellion, and I mean, at the moment, after yesterday's game, second highest rated below Spoit, and being second to Spoit is, I think, what a lot of players would dream of no matter what role they were on. So he's been having an excellent stage, and the past year he's been on this roster, he has been an excellent addition and continues to pay off, as we saw in that round, in 1vx's and rounds earlier against OXG. Always a fantastic player. Spoit not having the best run at it so far, but honestly, while that might be great for SR, I'm kind of glad for Spoit. He's been picking up and shouldering a pretty heavy burden over the past couple games, so he wants to ice his knees and some other players can take the slack, I will not complain whatsoever.
Looks as though the Rebellion are getting a little bit wise to Benja's pathing right now. Very often finds himself inside of customs early on that book. We've got Rexon, and I think his spider senses are tingling. But it's kind of a bit of a face-off at the moment. Benja could do with a bit of information on the drone right now just to figure out what's going on down there. Not going to be enough for him to push up just yet. No one on SSG on the drones right now. And Rexon has just relocated himself into Passport. Got a little bit of support with Canadian down there as well. It's going to be Fultz on the window looking in through. We've got a bit of action coming in on those east stairs as well. So again, SSG not being given so much free time and a very narrow escape. Not sure if he glimpsed the helmet there, but what a shot from Rexon that'll have been. Ashen gets domed there on the entry, immediately responded to, though.
Benjo finally just creeping in, as it all seems to be coming up. SSG. Benjo become quite a patient player over these past couple years. It pays off in that one engagement, pays off for the last as well. SSG dropped one on a very slow push in round 3, but round 4, it just feels like more of the same. As they widen their lead to 3-1. SR still struggling to find a consistent solution. And I think it's quite telling that their only win so far is another 1vx.
It's another one for the tally, isn't it? And it kind of stands to reason what we were talking about in the pre-show. Or should I say in the bans. We were sort of saying, you know, not saying SR got lucky against OXG, but there was, okay, that was a disgusting shot, Fultz. They're certainly not getting lucky now against Space Station, let's put it that way. If you're getting shots like that hit on you, luck is not on your side.
Bomb located by attackers.
But it was a very individual performance from the Rebellion against OXG. Particularly on that second map, which was, of course, Border. So it kind of stands to reason that we're seeing them struggle a little bit here and now because SSG aren't giving them that opportunity to have individual performances. They're all over them like a rash at the moment. These kills are flying in. Yes, round 4 was a little bit slow. It took us a little bit longer to see our opening pick. At 1 minute 27, that's the latest opening pick we've seen so far. And it was the first opening pick that we've actually seen for the Rebellion. However, the round didn't last very much beyond that. And someone that I've enjoyed watching today already has been Newers, a player that often gets overlooked in some ways, I think would be fair to say. And his contribution, whilst it's certainly there in the team, it's maybe one that you look to and go, some more slightly forgettable plays.
I feel like that was more of a vintage Benjamaster play, by the way. Kind of breaking onto the scene at SI-23, a bit more aggro, you know, the young fragger. Then, of course, the future MVP that we saw at that tournament after coming in on G2 and surprise winning the World Championship. But here he is, rushing into the building on that Nook. Something we normally see, I feel like, you know, maybe Ashen do, who has basically been kind of the same guy on this roster as he has been since he entered almost 2 years ago, right before Atlanta. This is all coming up Space Station Gaming at the moment. Great nade to confirm the down on Direxen. As we've got 2 players dropping donuts. Spoit and Canadian were a certified duo yesterday, and the only thing they've got in common are donuts. Spoit flashed as he's forced off the CC position, or excuse me, the break position, and forced deeper into CCTV itself. For the 4v3, SSG, I was going to say, have time to slow things down a little bit. Ashen maybe getting a bit ahead of himself. Taking a solo fight on the doorway, a 50-50, that Spoit ends up winning. And while they do have control of the site, I was about to say, Spoit has control of these vertical angles, not just the ones pre-made, but the ones yet to be made with that Specchio and shotgun combo. And so SSG might try to take a page out of Shopify Rebellion's books and win this on kills, but not if we're having sprays like that and recoil control like that. Rebellion do win at least one more round, and customs go their way, and yet still these rounds feel inconsistent.
I'm not sure who was playing on Benja's name for that shot. He was 5-1 before that engagement, and he looks like it's the first time he's picked up a mouse.
FMG9 recoil.
We'll let him off. We will let him off. Maybe if he was on the book, he'd have got the kill. Maybe he was just dialed into the different recoil patterns. But a good round there for SR to get. Again, it feels like these rounds, I'm almost breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief, because I look at this fixture, and I think there's potential for all 3 maps here. We've got a real brawl between the 2 big dogs in NA at the moment. There's no other team now. You wouldn't throw Dark Zero into this mix the same way that we would have done in Stage 1.
No,
these are the big dogs inside of NAL right now, and there's all the chance in the world that we're going to see them play again in the grand final, because, of course, whoever loses here will drop down and play inside of that lower bracket.
10 seconds to
And you better believe that if SSG lose, there's a hell of a good chance of them doing it, because they love a lower bracket run.
Their ability to just constantly stay mentally locked in. I don't know, it's a team that we always say they can beat anybody, they can lose to anybody, and yet their one consistent factor is always doing the unexpected and always seeming to have a chance where almost every other team in the world would be down and out. Yet, of course, it's just round 6. And the Rebellion are certainly not down and out. Won the primary site of Armory the 2nd time they defended it. Took a win on the tertiary, and now will try Armory for the 3rd time this half so far. Came down to a 1v1 in round 3. However, it was a pretty slow attack from Space Station Gaming, and Shopify Rebellion were not really giving SSG too many openings in the grand scheme of things. One dropped early on, but the rest almost entirely coming below the minute mark. So I think SSG will look to create a bit more opportunities early on, and maybe try to get Benja a bit more active on that buck, who's basically downstairs, isolated for a majority of the round.
Hold still. Easy now.
Lewis should be recoverable there, as he will get picked up. I do agree, though. I'd like to see somebody... I mean, it's difficult, Benja's job, though, because the reason that he's there to do that is because he can be self-sufficient in doing so. And if someone has to jump on a drone for him, it kind of removes their ability up on that mid floor, up on that top floor, should I say. So it really is a double-edged sword. And I think the wiser the SR get to the tactics that are going on, the more difficult it's going to be. But with J9O hopping in and grabbing another kill there as an opener onto Canadian, it is going to make things a slight bit easier. Just coming at about the halfway point in the round. So it does look like it's going to be one of those slower rounds, and there hasn't been an immediate slew of kills after it. Instead, SSG still prodding, still probing. The great ability to not overcommit to the building too early here on these border attacks. Now Ashen looking to make a bit of a play. Got an option of going down long or into office. Office being open, of course. Maybe just needs to wait for a little bit of info.
Ooh, 2 line up for him down the east corridor. Won't find either, unfortunately. Shopify Rebellion maintain their lead and seem primed to tie up this half. It's a late trade. But with the kills they've acquired, the positions they have, Shopify Rebellion do not need to push far. They've got one player fountain. Maybe somebody to play that trade if they want to push closer to the office door, but no. I was about to say, that Azami's pretty isolated, especially after that flash on a lengthy pre-fire. Ashen making great use of those 40 bullets. And now Surf. Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. A 1vx. Can Surf make magic happen and make lightning strike 3 times in one night? Ashen putting the diffuser down. Hole punched in the wall, but unfortunately, no angle will reveal itself. SSG take the lead at the side swap.
Surf unable to make it 8 1vx's inside of stage 2. Instead, he's just going to have to settle on 7. I'll be honest, Lynx, I would not be surprised at all if he breaks double-digit clutches tonight. I'd love to see it. The next nearest player for clutches, it's tied. It's a 3-way tie. NJR, Yoga, and Snake. And they've got 4 apiece. So he's got nearly double the amount of clutches of anybody else inside of the league.
I mean, well, and also talking about NJR's 1vx's, I mean, half of those are probably all acquired last night, given the kind of series Dark Zero we're having. Even though they did end up losing it, NJR was a massive reason why they made it as far as they did. But I wouldn't be shocked if we do genuinely see. I mean, if this goes 3 maps, I think Surf has 2 1v1s in him. Surely he's got to.
Well, that's it. You know, it's more than one. He's already had one this map. So he needs another one. He needs one a map from now, basically, doesn't he?
True.
We've sort of got half a map left to play here, and then providing we go all 3. Well, you never know. There's a really good chance, and if it goes all 3, you better believe he's going to be getting a clutch in there somewhere, because they probably need it with the way that we've seen the siege go so far. A 4-2 split for Space Station. Azami, Tuber out, banned out by SR, a Deimos and a Ying taken away by SSG. Faults straight on that Clash. And a big problem operator. Clash, of course, took a bit of a holiday at the start of stage 2. And I'll be honest, it was a nice time. I kind of enjoyed the siege that was played when Clash wasn't a factor. And I'm sure some of the players kind of felt the same, because it can be infuriating to deal with. But SR are known for their shields as well. Maybe not so much on border, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a little bit of Monty or Blitz action later on as we get a bit deeper into this phase. For the time being, though, it's going to be a fairly standard lineup. And, of course, with the Deimos and the Ying ban, it leaves open things like the Glaz, things like the Capitao. And that's going to be where Ambi finds himself on the Glaz to start things off here in round 7.
Operator, I've become really excited by whenever I see presence in the round, because the aggressive Glaz play we've seen, I think this stage and I think the stage or 2 prior to this, Ollie, has really been exciting. And, you know, one player like Ashen, for example, pushing deep into a Locker's CCTV defense to fight the Tachanka in the complete opposite site. Seen a lot of players, including, coincidentally, NJR last night, pushing up through the smoke to take an aggressive angle. Seems to be what Ambi's doing right now. It's been a style of play that I've really enjoyed watching develop, and exactly what Ambi will try to do. Of course, given the way that scope works, the more you move, the less you can see through the smoke. So you got to find that balance. Make sure you can get some initiative while also finding a clean shot on your enemies. And yet, even if you don't look through the smoke, that DMR still packs a punch. Yet, on a bullet-per-bullet basis, that MX4 Storm is much faster than its opposition. Ambi was the first one to hit the floor, and he's the second one, the 4th one now. The 4th one out of the round is Rebellion try to play things very, very quick, and it ends just as quick as it begins. 5-2 for SSG. Momentum not slipping up whatsoever.
SSG really happy to deal with a single armory wall, or single armory door walk-in, should I say. Not even sure that we saw the breach open in that round. Ambi trying to make something happen. And the Rebellion trying to kind of rally around it and play a little bit quick and fast, but I don't really feel like they've done too much prep work. If you look at the stylistic differences there between, I know we've only seen 1 round from the Rebellion there, but on the attack, you kind of look at the differences and you think to yourself, well, when SSG were attacking, there was a heck of a lot of vert pressure. They had Benji like dedicated. Every round he's entering in that first floor and he's getting in and ripping open some of the floor with a skeleton key and just letting people know he's there, giving a bit of presence, able to pick up a kill here or there. root players out. There was none of that. We had a Capital. Not sure that we saw the Capital firebolts used to great effect. Just trying to walk in under the cover of some smoke. I mean, you kind of announce yourself, and especially when there's a clash there. This clash can just front up to that. You can see that Fultz was happy to swing the door, knowing that Ambi's there, and he can just call out all day, safe as houses. Bit of a strange approach for SR. SSG with a very clean and well-measured response to what was given to them as well. You now see them move downstairs into bathroom. Bit of an extension on this top floor, going to be some castle action. No mute in play, which you would often associate with this top floor hold. But SSG instead opting for a bit of flexibility, but Benja's confidence there. Oh, Rexon, you've ruined it. You've double pressed T. Gonna be just the question mark, not the T question mark.
He's out of practice with the BM.
Needs to take a lesson from Ashen.
He's been skipping the trash talk scrims.
Ashen's got that hotkey.
Reloading.
Ashen actually, I heard he cleared it with Evans. He actually has a script for like trash talking and putting in question marks. He just like he presses a button and it just like opens everything. It's crazy.
Like he just presses F8 and it does enter. It does T question mark enter and sends all in the same tick.
So I did not expect Canadian to get hit by a Gurjmat all the way on the balcony, but of course with Ashen playing this position, he's very conscious of the possibility of some kind of shield player. He'll find one, but it seems to be Rebellion. Pulling an SSG, saying, all right, you took away one round, well, I think we're just going to take all the map control we want and not give you any opportunity to fight back. Janino and Newers finding themselves in a deficit early on, yet actually finding the miracle path through at the moment. Everyone from the Rebellion on the opposite side of the map, and nobody really looking their way until right now, where the Monty starts stomping up and has put J9O in a corner. Newers will pick up Surf, but that's a 1-for-1 trade. It'll have to be Newers in the 1v3, spotted by the Monty. So Canadian with Diffuser can instead keep his shield up, maybe try and orchestrate Ambi and Spoit into a nice clean crossfire, which seems they have. One up top, one below. Does see Canadian's feet, but unfortunately it is far too late and also a far too tight of an angle. Still a bit of a hill to climb, 2-round lead between these two teams, but the Rebellion are not out of things just yet.
Good choice to bring the Monty there, I think, from the Rebellion. Making really good use of that map control, gaining ability. Canadian can just bear down on people on that Monty. Really start to bully those top floor players. SSG, it's not that they didn't have a response for it. I think they were fully expecting the Monty. But kind of after they lost that opening pick, and then they're able to double, and then SR are able to sort of triple push in a way. Ashen upstairs. At that point, you kind of feel like a lot of the map control has been given up. You've got nothing then inside of CCTV. Your little attempt at a bit of something aggressive with Benja hasn't worked out, which is fine. It's not going to work out every time. But as soon as you lose that second kill and it's 5 versus 3, that's when things start to get quite difficult. I guess it was 4 versus 3 because Ashen did get one before he perished, but the advantage there, especially when you've got the Monty, it really gives you that killer edge. And it's an edge that SR needed. They only trail by a couple of rounds now, but you still feel like SSG are firmly in the driver's seat at the moment. Going to be taking us to the opposing mid-floor, first floor site. We're going to workshop and ventilation this time. And we do in fact have the mute this time as well, so it should assist on that top floor hold just a little bit, slow down some of those drones, especially with the introduction of the Blitz. Those mute jammers can be nice little bastions of safety. You find yourself being chased down by a Blitz. Of course, if the Blitz is inside of the mute jammer radius, the stun effect will not work. You've got that nice little bit of Dokubi safety as well. If you are getting called, you can run into the mute jammer and deny that Dokubi call. So a good bit of cleanse utility, you could say, there for the side of SSG to take advantage of. It's going to be Rexon looking to try and make something happen a little bit early there in through Passport.
I don't think Benja's looking to offer up an opening kill, just like you did in the last round from that exact same position. Caden hopping in really quick, dropping down to courtyard, and hello, one player moving around these stairs. Make that 2 actually moving around this side of the map. Ooh, but a well-timed melee will put Canadian on a bit of reduced HP, but he flicks around, takes down J90. Both SAS ops roaming on this side of the map. Easy pickings for the guns of Shopify Rebellion. Minute 20 seconds in, not just an opening pick, but 2 uncontested ones. I think Ashen will have to sit on this side of the map, sit on his hands for the time being, because while SSG need to work back a pick, there is no opportunity for it right now.
Not great angles to challenge either with the Scorpion. It's going to be a severe disadvantage on that super long range. Instead, takes a little bit more of a close range one. Ashton going to find one onto Canadian. Spoit takes him down through the impact hole. With Ambi down, fortunately for the Rebellion, he can be recovered. But Spoit now falling. Ambi on reduced HP. Rexon just a little bit above half. The 3 versus 2 isn't so straightforward.
Not exactly, especially with one shotgun player around the corner. But Ambi repositioning well-timed, and yet he finds himself in the 1v1. Fultz burns his C4 to put him in this position, and yet he gets the riper target. Ambi on so low HP.
Oh, he's misdroned him.
I was about to say, misdroned him and then shot. No information off of that little bit of utility remaining. He's got some time to bait this defuse. He'll even work some of these vertical angles, but Fultz looking to creep up. Sitting on metal, likely waiting for Ambi to drop. Could easily retake and maybe play this position too. That's exactly what'll happen. Moving into Armory Archives, he can watch below that hatch. Ambi instead walking back up in turn. They're damn near trading places. Fultz decides to challenge. Always a risky decision, but the risk not nearly as high when your opponent is 1 bullet away from death. That'll get SSG the match point they were looking for.
That was a masterclass from Fultz right there. The movement was so slippy. The way that he positioned himself around that main door was just fantastic. He knew the player was upstairs. He knew he was in a 1 versus 1. Main door seems like a dangerous position because in your mind you're like, oh, that's where the attackers come from. But he knows. He knows he's upstairs. He knows he's happy to play around main door because what's he going to do? Jump down from the balcony? Like, you're going to hear that. There's no way that you're going to get shot from there. Brilliant little bit of positioning. And then the nice little trade as he walks up metal stairs as we've got Ambi dropping. Just fantastic. The high ground is always going to be better.
Attackers need to locate
a nice final kill to finish it. I didn't glimpse there, but I think he must have had a little bit of information because his movement there was almost too perfect. Anticipating the moves of Ambi. Map point right now for SSG.
Attackers have discovered the location
which,
of a bomb.
I mean, I would kind of class this as quite a quick get. I know the scoreline could be 7-3. And we could of course see a quicker scoreline, but I'd class this as quite a quick game, Links. It's not hung around, has it? A lot of these rounds have been fairly quick.
Oh yeah, this has absolutely been a fast one so far. We do want to acknowledge, by the way, this is SSG's map pick, so while we were, I think, trying to contextualize the Rebellion's performance in the series, but more specifically on Border, a lot of our talking points were specifically relegated to this one map, and especially because it's SSG's pick. We have Shopify Rebellions up next, and that's Cafe, a map that they have played twice in 2 days and won it both times, and especially against OXG, in very good and somewhat convincing fashion. So just because we think there needed to be some points made about the Rebellion's Border, Cafe up next could still be quite a protracted engagement. So quick up from SSG here will be good to put them up 1-0 in the series, win their pick as well, but things are certainly not done, even if SSG beat the Rebellion 7-3, which would also not be their first time achieving that scoreline, as I believe is what they got against Wildcard yesterday as well on Clubhouse. Yes, that is correct. So clearly some quick games capable for this SSG squad.
I can't believe you backtracking.
Reloading ammo.
What do you mean?
I thought we were making points for SSG for the whole series. Like, I'm a believer.
I think we are. I think we are making points of the whole series, but I think it's fair to say that the examples we were talking about, a lot of it was based on that Border specific.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah. Cafe isn't. I don't know. Is it a map that SSG are known for? They've not played it a lot this stage. They played it once. Ooh, hello. Another opening pick. That duel between Benja and Spoit has been ticking along all series long, hasn't it? Or all game long, should I say? Second now as Canadians taken out there by Newers. Newers having a big day. 9-5. Putting in that work.
I think neither Ambi nor I had any idea where he was in that smoke grenade at that moment. I mean, minute 15 seconds left at the moment. Stuck inside a CCTV. Important bit of control to establish, but it feels like the Rebellion have been trapped here, or more that they have created some kind of beachhead or some bit of initiative that they can play behind the shield. What an easy double swing by Space Station Gaming. The trades are there, and Ambi. There's been one particular late round where he was hitting some nice shots with the AK before, but no, not today. It'll be SSG's second 7-3 of the playoffs so far. 1-0 on the series. Border, still such a good Space Station map.
SSG showing no signs of slowing down here tonight. It might have been a couple of hours ago since we see them take that 2-1 lead over M80. But they have come into this upper bracket final with a heck of a lot of pace and the same amount of tenacity. A very well-rounded team performance as well for SSG to get it over the line. Of course, winning their map of Border, but this is a best of 3 and there are going to be more maps to come.
I'm talking, Badger.
I can call, I have 90 chem.
Nice,
let's go.
Good fucking shit, guys.
If we hunt, we must hunt all at once. That is the rule.
What the fuck?
No?
The vibes are vibing over at SSG, showing us why they picked Border. 7-3 dominant win over Shopify Rebellion, and with that, they are looking to punch their tickets straight to the grand final.
Yeah, they want to be able to get themselves another back-to-back first-place finishes. And the way that they've been playing, I mean, they were just so oppressive on Border. I think the map just suits their playstyle suits their playstyle very well with how they're able to just take control all around the map and make SR very claustrophobic, because that was SR's downside against, you know, their wildcard game and all of their games that they've played Border. Shopify Rebellion just has a very lackluster hold of the top floor, very lackluster lockdown. So SSG knows that if they overwhelm every single side, there's going to be a gap. There's somebody who's uncomfortable from Shopify Rebellion.
What I really liked on their defenses, since you're highlighting their attacks, is their defenses, they, instead of just playing overly aggressive, they would play their angles, they'd play their hold, but they would play it together. They would force SR into unwinnable gunfights and then ultimately making them get into that late extension of the round where time's dwindling. They have to be able to make a play, but that's where SSG was coming alive. Then they would all just collapse and jump on top of the Shopify Rebellion that was trying to pressure the site and just not really being able to find too much of their stride.
Yeah, and also like individuals that we highlighted earlier today was more of the supportive players. When we're talking about Falls, we're talking about J9O, and it feels like this is something that we are continuously seeing flourish from the side of SSG.
Yeah, I mean, round 9, the fact that they were able to bring this back, and specifically Fultz here doing it, the old man himself. I mean, you know, there's been a few times where he's had some really big clutches, and on this map in particular, if you remember, he had that huge clutch. But to be able to masterclass that round, go up top metal, give the cue that he was there and not get overzealous, play the timeout, and then to swing. I mean, it was ballsy, but if someone's going to do it, it's going to be Fultz, and he managed to secure that round for them.
Yeah, very well played. And also, it's exhilarating to see that that's what SSG needed to win, to be able to make it to Munich, hopefully go to first place in the NAL. They needed J9O, Fultz, and a little bit of Benja to be able to step up. And I think now with the momentum, they're just all collectively able to play on top of each other and have that momentum, have that aggression together. I just think on a map like Border, there was no way Shopify was going to be able to, I guess, fight back once SSG got that ball rolling.
Yeah, I think as well for Shopify's Rebellion's like current situation, it's like you've just won a best of 3. It was 2 maps. You had like a small little break and you're jumping straight back into the action. I think for me, it's like the question here, because both of you have that player experience, is that more of a downside, or is the fact that SSG has played, had a break, and then comes back? Which one is like the worst?
I'll just say, when you come off of a hot game versus having to wait for someone to play, you're always going to start out strong. Just that's my perspective. Some people might look at it different.
I think it depends on the team, but I think the fact that Shopify Rebellion just played Border and then SSG takes them immediately to it, and we know how adaptive heavy SSG is when it comes to inside the server stuff, they didn't need to go over it in a dry runner in practice. They just watched and they said, okay, Shopify Rebellion is probably going to do the same stuff. Let's just have these cues, these areas that we can pay attention to, and we'll be able to break it apart.
And that's a great start for them, but Cafe is up next, and that's the second map of this best of 3 series. It is Shopify Rebellion's chance to equalize this and push it to a decider, or for SSG to push themselves all the way to the grand final, straight through the upper bracket, which would be different than last stage. But either way, we're ready to head on to our second map, so Cafe coming up with Ollie and Lynx.
Well, Ollie, I have to say, obviously 7-3 SSG, very, very dominant. We, obviously added, a little bit more context to Shopify Rebellion's performance earlier. But I don't know. I had never sat down at a desk before and felt quite so, comfortable and ready for this to be a 3-mapper. I'm sitting down, not like I'm ready for a tense, dominant finish. I'm like, okay, we're about to go to Cafe, but then we got map 3 after this.
You're fully getting locked in for the night.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay, Cafe's all great, but Chalet's coming up later, so I'll be here for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a Chalet, to be honest with you.
Between these two teams, I would not mind it at all.
Cafe's a difficult one for me. I look at it, and on the balance of things, yes, Shopify Rebellion have a better record on this map at the moment. They've played it 3 times this stage. They've won it every single time. OXG, Dark Zero, Cloud9, 7-4, 7-5, 7-1. DZ the only team, and OXG, I guess you could throw them into the mix there. 7-4. It's a scoreline never really paints the full picture of how a game goes. On the flip side, SSG, they played it once against Standby, and it was a 7-5. So, really, what do you expect when you see that? You think SSG, as Fox has mentioned, they have a great ability to counter-strat. They also have the benefit of starting off on the defense here. And I think that mentally, they have the edge. Shopify Rebellion are kind of not sort of bouncing from the frying pan into the fire, but they got through the border game versus OXG through sheer individual skill. And then, I don't want to say that they fell apart on border against SSG, but it was nowhere near the same. It wasn't a close game of Siege by any stretch. And you kind of look at coming into this and you think, well, SR are now getting on for playing for, 4 hours maybe? It's a long stretch.
It's a long stretch, and also, now, I kind of acknowledge it, physically speaking, this doesn't exactly work. I'm about to describe it, but I think you all get what I mean. Reloading! As a player, you can only kind of maintain a performance for so long, right? And think of the performances Spoit has had today, and this playoff so far. 65 kills going into border against SSG. And that's across, 5 maps total? That is an impressive kill count. That's over 10 kills a map on average? Incredible stuff. You're not going to be able to do that all the time, though. And it's not like that was incidental or ancillary to the Rebellion's success. In many cases, it was something they were reliant on, something that was load-bearing, even if it wasn't the only thing going their way. And I think in that border game, it was not the only thing going their way. There were other players like Rexin or Surf doing really crazy things, too. But when you have a player like Spoit that starts dropping off, that's a pretty sizable hole left inside of the lineup. And at the moment, we just haven't seen Andy or Rexin step in to fill it. And so while we have a 7-3 from SSG, it's their map pick, and we got the Rebellions coming up here. Sure. I am quite confident that they have a good kind of setup on this map. But at the same time, just based on how the individual performances have been lining up, SSG have been shooting remarkably straight across day 1, their match earlier, and then map 1 and map 2 so far, as that is good evidence of.
There it is again, that EU brawl that's bubbling away in the background of this fixture. Benja coming away with the first pick here on Cafe. Some quite early map control has been gained by SR. I know we're well into the second half of this first round, but they didn't really have to contest too heavily to get control of this mid floor. You kind of look at that and think, ooh, have SSG maybe given a little bit too much away? Well, they've been able to take out one of the players on a reverse vertical angle. SR have still got plenty of soft destruction. They've got the ram, they've got the sledge. They've even got a super shorty, I imagine, on Rexin if they require it. Tuber Arcanistas did a really good job of slowing down that freezer hatch from getting opened. You can see that SSG are now starting to take up positions outside of the site, but with more than enough angle back into that site for retakes and for further angles to be held. J90 in that very difficult position inside of Christmas. Knows he's only seconds away from getting swung. Canadian D shields and domes him.
That's a ridiculous play that I did not expect, and I also did not anticipate it boiling down to a 2v2. Canadian just walks into VIP quite nicely, but the low time is still going to burn Shopify Rebellion. Not enough time and ability to check these angles. So Benja goes unread, and while Surf does check that position and hits a very nice shot, Benja's got more than enough time just to sit, wait, and close out the first. It's a classic kitchen defense. The moment you get that pick, everyone sits up in their 5 positions, and not a single person moves.
I thought that was going to be it for Surf. I thought he's just going to swing that corner and he's just going to snap onto the head with the pistol and get the headshot. But it wasn't meant to be. Still coming down to a 1 versus 1. This is the weirdest kill of them all, by the way, because in my mind, I guess the kill from Rex in there makes a lot of sense now, seeing it from the other angle. Because in my mind, you see Canadian dropping the shield on the Monty there, because he got into a weird position, like behind J90 as he's playing inside of Christmas. And I'm thinking, he's about to get shot in the back. Like, there is somebody inside of either coat check or main door that is just going to peek out based off J90's call, and they're going to shoot him in the back. But Wrexham was coming down those brown stairs, so it was a little bit more calculated, but it's still a little bit of a risk.
It is just very strange, isn't it? Because my immediate thought was like, I think similar aspect of what you were talking about, but it's just like, oh, the Monty's walking up with no gun behind him. This usually ends poorly for the Monty when that gun and the shield get separated, and in this case, it did not. Still lose the round, unfortunately. SSG will move ahead 1-0, winning the first floor, and now they'll move progressively up to the second, something we were talking about on the broadcast yesterday, Ollie. Cocktail, is it viable? Yes. Is it good? Not really. So, not always a shock to see teams prioritize the first floor, though. I will say, the Rebellion in their game against Dark Zero yesterday did play that site quite a bit, and they played it against OXG earlier, so while it might not be a site we'll see SSG play, it is certainly one we will see SR play later on. And right now, when they're attacking the second floor, you will see some presence up top. You'll see Ambi trying to use those boogie drones. My big question, though, and I think it's always a big question, Ollie, whenever we see second floor defense. Well, the question was going to be where we're going to see the blitz go, and the question will be onto the cams.
Oh, that's the first time that we've seen Spoit take Benja out in an opening engagement. It wasn't technically the opening pick. That was gained by Fultz. Good position that SSG find themselves in here. Maybe Spoit can make something happen now. He knows that someone's inside a kitchen. Got a little bit of lingering information right now. If Fultz can get himself tucked in, he's also got the pipe that he can try and play around a little bit. Everyone from SR trying to full send onto Fultz right now. They're going to dedicate quite a lot of not only drones, but time to trying to take this player down. And if Fultz is able to get away with anything, it would be even better. But no, a level 3-3. Well, Fultz has done his job and more. He's grabbed the opening pick. And he's been able there to waste, what, another 30 seconds? On a cafe, every second is crucial.
Important bits of utility also erased as well. SR out of Dokkaebi calls, and given it was a small moment, but given what we saw with Benja's position last round, going unread on that main door, Dokkaebi call is something that makes those kinds of kills a lot less likely. You got the phone ringing, you've got that ability to gather that information, so not having it as Spoit, as Rexon and Serve all push into mining and train to recover that diffuser, they're really, one, kind of telegraphing, because a rotation over to reading is going to be very difficult, yet it seems that might be exactly what Spoit's contemplating. He's not far off the money either, by the way. Nobody in Pillar. Nobody in Nubalk at the moment, and they've got direct information on the guy close on the reading door. This is such an easy pre-fire around the corner. Skeleton key out, and suddenly SR have completely opened up this round. Spoit pushing deeper. Just shoulder to shoulder with the Azami across the way. Flashbang over another. So clinical with the underbarrel shotgun. And he had his J90 flanks. Another great frag. Rexon team kills Surf in the 1v1. J90 pulling back around the corner. Shotgun on at AK-12. a bananas late round between these two teams, and I can't say what Jane I know just said on stream, but I think we all are feeling that.
How do they pull away with these sort of rounds? I mean, the Rebellion. They were in such a great position. They had so much good information.
Spoit opened it up.
Spoit led the charge with the skeleton key. Played it to perfection. The kill onto Newers. He stacked everything in his favor. And then there's the TK. And it must have just been such a chaotic moment. Because Rexon's taken Surf down and then has to scramble with low time because the Rebellion were forced to chase Fultz down inside of that mid-round. Now, Jane I know's won the round, but SSG have put him in that winning position with only a few seconds left. Now, he nearly did fluff the shotgun shot as well, which those things are unforgivable. If you miss that first pump, you're going to be goners. Like, you need to be making sure that that lands. Fortunately, he was able to give a very quick and speedy correction. I made a comment during that border game, Links, about luck and the fact that SR, they died to a wallbang and it looked like they weren't getting very lucky. Now, it doesn't say that isn't to say that good Siege isn't being played here, but it does just feel like they aren't getting any luck here tonight whatsoever.
And I think that round's a great example of it, right? Because even in the late round, none of that was luck. Like, finding the player close on the corner, great intel gathering. Spoit pushing deep, just good positioning and awareness on what kind of plays need to be made. There really was no luck in Shopify bringing that back. Like,
no.
maybe a small bit, but a lot of it was just really great setup and individual play. And it was, like you just said, SSG with the luck. And sometimes that's just how it goes. And sometimes with SSG, it feels like this team just always seems to find those intangibles, those moments that you can't quite control or account for, a bit more often than the other teams. And a team kill like we saw in that round, hey, you just got to feel bad for SR for being on the receiving end of it, unfortunately. Third site now defended by Spacestation, going to mining and dining. I mentioned last round that the Blitz might have a role before Canadian was shot in the head as the opening pick. Usually we see a shield sometimes hop in the mining double window or go up the white staircase. A lot of similar plays for this site, given the close proximity to raining and dining. But given Canadian's pick of the Monty, that usually indicates that SR are going to be playing a lot slower of a shield, going for a full clear. And look, he's dropping red stairs right now, pushing forward. It's going to be that exact style of play.
Plenty of info for him to gather as well. Can search out the player on Pixel. But Jane, I know a little bit more experience than just to be staring at the shield. He's worried about what's coming behind it. We've got plenty of options here, different avenues to play in and different areas to approach. Player on the window and on the double, but Newers in with the support. Benjamaster as well. This is getting torn apart. Canadians de-shielding again.
I love the confidence from Canadian. To be fair, the game he had yesterday, I don't entirely blame him, but SSG are comfortable inside of this series after that 2-1 victory over M80 earlier. Looking a lot more like map number 3, a 7-2 on Nighthaven, and a 7-3 on Border against the Rebellion, and now about to go flawless on their site rotation. Rexon with intel on one around the corner. The first pre-fire doesn't even work. Then he finds himself in the 3-way crossfire, gets out of it with 1, but not a single in rounds. Imagine that tactical timeout is coming in hot after SSG go 3-0.
It's got to be time for the attack, hasn't it? It was called early on Border. Didn't really have much of an effect onto the round or onto the game thereafter. We're going to get through this round of banning. It's very common that we see the tactical timeout at the start of this round 4. Get the bans out of the way. It's 30 or so seconds that you've got to discuss as a team, and then you can bring the coach in for that 45-second timeout. And the body language, I think, says it all there from Ambi.
I will say this, because I do think your point's accurate. I always do feel like Ambi seems particularly dour when we're going into a tactical timeout than the rest of the Rebellion. I don't know why.
It's just his room.
I think it's his room. I also think he typically plays a bit more hunched, and so
yeah.
he always looks a bit more just like the mental's hitting him. And I don't think that's necessarily the case for him, and 2, I also don't necessarily think that's often the case for SR overall. But again, that's an entirely tangential point, because as you said, the Mental probably is not doing great right now. Of course, both these teams have qualified for Munich. I think what many would consider to be the greatest short-term prize has been accomplished. But as Ollie and I mentioned at the top of the show, due to the Munich being the first major, a lot of the SI points have entirely come from the regional leagues. And once you get to these playoffs, once you get to teams like SR, like SSG, like M80, a lot of them are about tied in SI points, or very nearly tied. And so if you go to Munich and you end up not having a good event, going deep inside of the playoffs or even winning the playoffs is going to set you up in a good spot for regional finals, which of course has a direct qualification to SI involved. And it'll be a good insurance policy in case things at Munich don't work out. So both these teams, one, I imagine, taking it seriously for that reason, and two as well, especially with SSG in the lobby, you know they're going to play every game like it is the most important one so far. Looking as well to be the 2-time.
10 seconds remaining.
No lower bracket run necessary. If they can just win 4 more rounds in regulation on Cafe, they will have a shot to defend their title as the best team in North America 2 stages in a row. And boy, based off their play so far, they would certainly deserve it.
I think it'd be a really nice sort of full circle story for them as well, given that we saw them go through the lower bracket last stage. And if they are able to make it through to that grand final this stage without going into that lower bracket, it just shows that level of development and level of growth again. And yeah, it's fine to know that they're a team that have the ability to run through a lower bracket, but it doesn't mean they need to be doing it every single time. They don't need to put the fans and put themselves through that sort of torture of wondering, are they going to be able to do it again? And it's a heck of a lot of games and a heck of a lot of maps that you've got to go through and win. It could be a really nice growth story here for SSG. And as you mentioned, only 4 rounds away. SR needing to book their ideas up on these attacks. Was definitely expecting more out of these attacking rounds from them, given that their prowess on Cafe as a map. Nicely shot out of the air there. Benja was attempting something a little bit cheeky with the C4.
You see, by the way, that after the ban phase has concluded, SSG have gone full-blown intel denial, and I suppose some light intel gathering. Mute Mozzie combo, and then Fultz bringing the Pulse first kill in the process. I have to say, Canadian's been going down early an awful lot during this series so far. He is currently 1 in 4 on opening engagements, and multiple times now, it's been with the Shield. Blitz back in round 2, and then Monty here in round 4. Other 2 times, it's been Spoit on the opening engagement. In the 4 rounds we've seen so far, 2 and 2. Important ops and important players being taken out early left and right. SG now with a 5v3. Jackson spotting some mid-round vert being made as Spacestation look to set up their contingency plans. Ashen's got to be careful he doesn't overheat. Same with you, J90. Though I will say, not usually a player that we have to worry about overheating all that much. Yet, sitting beneath this window, I was about to say, only way out is going to be prone. As the whole of SR have him in a crossfire. He'll hop up, but unfortunately he'll be taken down. It's actually Fultz, excuse me, not J90. Just not a player that's often getting all too aggressive, as it seems. I was about to say that we'll see SR pause for a little bit, but SSG, I guess, have somewhere to be after a long series earlier and a 7-3 on board, or SSG want to secure their spot in the finals in record time. Surf's been in multiple 1vx positions, and yet I think this 1v4, trapped inside a bakery, attacking kitchen, vertical angles, and horizontal ones all going against him. Maybe a couple impactless frags, but the call is just not to throw, as SSG have not shown any sign in stopping.
They're unstoppable at the moment, aren't they? As you say, there's nothing that's slowing them down at the moment. You wonder, really, what can SR do now, apart from just try and hold on and get on their own defensive side? We're expecting attacking round wins out of SR on Cafe. Like, this is a map that they love to play. And so far, everything that they're attempting, everything that they're throwing up, it's sort of falling on deaf ears. We're not seeing the same performances out of individuals that we've seen previously. Surf, 1 and 3. Okay, we don't always look to Surf for a load of kills, but we know he's good for a clutch or 2. Spoit, 3 and 4, just sort of plodding along. Ambi, 0 and 4.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not even like strategically that it's falling in just playing gunfights as well.
And I think you do have to acknowledge that, you know, Ambi has been having a bit of a rough stage, and I really do want to put the clarification, like, it really has been a bit of a rough stage. Like, He's still doing... got a decent EPS, like 102, but still having impact in 2/3 of the rounds, which in Rainbow Six is generally kind of like what you want from a player. But this is the guy who is like, you know, one of the top-rated players in the league last stage, who can literally take over games for SR. And it just so happens that in these playoffs in particular, he has really kind of disappeared a little bit. We saw him on Cafe earlier, but he was the bottom-rated player on Border. About that, there weren't a lot of kills going around, to be fair, for just getting an accurate read on that series. But then in the Dark Zero game as well, kind of a very middling performance overall. Ambi's a fantastic player, but at the moment it has really been the Spoit show and a bit of the Rexon and Ambi show earlier for a map or two here or there. But aside from Spoit, it has been very inconsistent from SR, and it's what we saw earlier today, even on some of these maps, and it's certainly what we saw in the DZ game yesterday. Right now, it is all SSG winning round after round, engagement after engagement. And now for what they'll do here on a reading room defense, holding this vertical control. If I were to bet anybody to come away the victor in these opening kills, it'd be the team who's won them 4 in a row.
They've been dominating it all series long, haven't they? It's not even a stat that you can look at and think it's close at this point.
+8, by the way.
Yeah. Have managed to make themselves known up on this top floor, though. Dropping red. Canadian's going to be inside a cigar right now. Still cautious of the Pixel player. But it looks like the players over on the cocktail side are going to be the main focus. But these C4s are just devastating. SSG have got such a good handle. They're giving map control away and fully knowing what that means and how to take advantage of that. J9O, he's dropped off Pixel. He's got himself a little bit further tucked. He's got a chance to peek through bathroom as well with some of that wall being soft. Even if he doesn't get a kill here, look at the time. There's only 1 minute and 10 and they've still not taken this top floor.
Yeah, I have to say, this is just some of the most fundamentally sound siege we've seen from SSG this entire year. I mean, the Desk mentioned it earlier, but easily could have closed out Clubhouse, and Benja in particular has been on form in this series. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. It's a 3v3 now, as SR have done a good job at fighting back, and ultimately, it's not a lot of time, but 45 seconds left with the vertical control established. Ambi still has all those boogie drones. There's a winnable round in here, 100% if they can get these angles, and perhaps most importantly, if they can stop this flank. But what do you know? I'm curious where Spoit has put those track stingers, because Fultz has walked all the way up red. And given how focused SR are going to be on the execution down below, Newers and Benja can occupy their attention. And then Fultz, at the right time, can hit a nasty flank, yet the first shots don't work. It's the second that has the impact. Diffuser dropped in freezer. This man knows how to waste time to direct attention, to take SR's aggro, and to shut the door. 5-0. Grand final seems like an inevitability at this point.
It really does. There was a drone inside the cigar shop that Canadian was watching. You were building up for that flank, and I was looking down, I was thinking, there's a drone, like surely this is just going to get dealt with. Like maybe it distracts enough time at the least. But nothing. There was no reaction for it. SSG are just running roughshod. They can do whatever they want in the server right now.
Also, sorry. I actually do want to say one small thing, because I mentioned how sharp SSG are looking earlier, and I didn't really quite notice what had happened, but Fultz sees that there's a guy behind the mirror window. He calls it out that somebody, by the way, very smart play from SR, is using the defense's own mirror window against them to hold Fultz on the flank. Brilliant play by SR, right? Well, Fultz gives that comm, and Benja kills that guy from the vert down below off of Fultz's information.
10 seconds remaining.
That is a really great play by SR that SSG communicates, and there's an immediate reaction to it. That's just... We saw it yesterday on Clubhouse against Wildcard. We saw it multiple times against the M80 game yesterday. SSG are just on point. The communication is flowing. The strats, the calling in round is looking so good, and the individual performances there. Ollie, I mean, I've often been an SSG believer many times in my series. I hate to be I hate to sound just such a fan at the moment, but the siege they are playing in this series, in these playoffs, it really is something to be believed. Canadian going down on a shield early again, by the way. 3 times it's been the opening pick on a shield this map.
It has been traded, but as you mentioned, it's irreparable damage done at this point. You bring in the shield for that ability to take a lot of ground, gain that information. If you want the information, look at what SSG are bringing in round 6. Valkyrie, Mozzie, Pulse. We mentioned that it's been the C4s that have been doing so much of the heavy lifting here, or not so much, but a good portion of the heavy lifting for SSG in the way that they've been deploying that utility. And they've got 3 of them and Valkyrie cameras to place them off the back of. Now, information is available for a player in on the site right now. Ambi going to get a little bit of damage taken onto him. J90 in a bit of a hot seat. Does have the C4 in pocket and could choose to blow that. Oh my goodness,
God.
Everyone's just going to die on the same tick. Benja, Ashen, and J90 all delivering the goods. Very much a team performance there from SSG, as it felt like the Rebellion were left with little to no option after losing the shield again early on into the round to just try and send it into sight. But that was possibly the worst lineup to send it into.
I gotta say, by the way, one thing, well, actually a couple things I want to point out. 2, we see smiles on the faces of the SR players, and I appreciate that, because when you're in a match like this, the thing you just got to do, you got to keep a good headspace, keep a good mindset, because, like, hey, you're getting smoked. It happens. It happens to the best of us. And the way it is happening is really quite impressive, because before I say this, I kind of want to, don't worry, I'm going to clarify. It doesn't really feel like SSG are overheating. And that is not a phrase I'd ever, 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 ever would have thought I would say about this SSG squad. Because it always feels like, Ollie, does it not always feel like that no matter what they do, no matter the discipline or the system, it always feels like they start taking it a step too far. It even happened last map. Ashen maybe taking a 1v1 on CCTV Balk that he didn't need to. And it happens, but it always seems to happen with SSG at particularly important moments. And we do have some plays that, hey, maybe that run out Fultz got, maybe we see that like fully observed, like we see that happen. Maybe we're like, that was a bit silly. He kind of got lucky getting that Monty. Who knows? But either A, SSG aren't overheating and they're taking smart engagements, which is a testament to this team's growth, or B, they're overheating and not getting punished for it, which is then kind of an explanation for how we got to a 6-0 for SSG on their opponent's map pick.
It does always feel as though they're 1 or 2 degrees away from an overheat. It's like they're running the CPU and the GPU at absolute max volume. Yeah, they are seriously overclocking their hardware. Ooh, good attempt there from Ambi. I love that. 6 rounds down, a little bit of a spawn peek, showing me still about it. We still got a chance here as well. Ooh, the snaky prone player, Benja. 9-1, by the way. 9-2 now. As Ambi is rewarded for hanging around.
Love that from Ambi.
Maybe maybe a little bit of a signal there of the overheat. Maybe they've breached. Maybe it's been overclocked for too many rounds now.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know if this is... this might be the first time we've seen a player overheat down 0-6. I love that from Rexon. Hopping out white window, completely trapped. There's no Claymore set up, by the way, so he's perfectly fine to do that. And so long as nobody's in a position to counter him, he can get inside the building, no problem.
This was like that round that we saw a few hours ago from Yoga. He ended up outside for ages as well. SR won the round in the end because he was just outside and unable to get by, but he was outside for like a good 25 seconds. It was at the bottom of garage. Somehow, by the way, SSG have been able to salvage something here. It's a 3-3. Now, Fultz is super low, but it still feels very doable right now. There are 2 C4s to go up against. But SSG have got all the intel ops that they could possibly need right now, regardless of the drone information. They should be able to find a pick.
They got time to, I was about to say, they have time to use that death mark factor. You know, you have time before you kind of want the element of surprise on your side. And, oh, Rexon, another hop out. I get the idea, but now that J90 finds his quarry, this was a 5v3 for SR, by the way, and now Spoit, who has made so many ridiculous plays in the past couple days, who was so instrumental for SR's qualification to Munich earlier. Well, now he's got to find the next 3 to make this work. How about a hipfire headshot to start? The results on 1 HP! It should happen, but 7-3 to 7-0, and SSG are your first team in the grand finals. No lower bracket run needed to defend their title as the best team in North America.
And the growth that this team has shown over the last stage is incredible. And it is certainly worthy of praise right now. From the way that they got themselves to the grand final and to be the eventual winners of stage 1 here in North America League, they've done it the entire opposite this time in stage 2. Straight in to that grand final. SR, not all hope is lost. They will drop down to that lower bracket. And the main goal of Munich has been achieved for both of these two teams. For the last time tonight, we're going to send it across to our desk.
Here, I'll swing in.
Got me, tarp.
That's not a fucking fish.
Now they start fucking deciding to get their nuts underneath and
Yeah,
now they're
What do you know about that, Joe? They can do a fly up right there.
boys. Nice fishing.
GG's.
GG's.
Nah, you gotta love Ashen. That reaction, priceless. But with that, 7-0, by the way, 7-0. Holy. SSG does manage to go straight into the grand finals, which is the complete opposite of what we've seen them do last stage, where they actually played it through that lower bracket. This team has leveled up tremendously over the last couple of weeks here in stage 2, and we have Newers standing by to join us for a little bit of a chat. Congratulations, qualified for Munich. You're going to the grand final. But we thought, considering that we interviewed Benja yesterday and then Ashen earlier, and you were like sitting there in the back, like trying to show off your guns, maybe you could.
Actually, he's got biceps now. I'm actually impressed. Like the Newers
Yeah,
that I
you know
knew
what?
before and the Newers
Show
that I
us
know, I'm genuinely impressed, Newers.
There we go.
Yeah, that's something right there. That's an apple.
You could definitely take Lax in the
I appreciate that. Nah, I don't know about now, but maybe.
Nah, Lax hasn't hit the.
I haven't got it in like 5 months.
Yeah, there you go. You got the upper hand. But let's also talk about the game today and your individual performance. It seems like you've really gelled incredibly well with the rest of the team, and you guys have been, more of a brotherhood rather than just 5 people playing the same game on the same roster. How has that been for you?
It's honestly incredible. My life has definitely changed drastically this past year, and I'm forever grateful for these guys. And it also just helps in game too, because we're so, I don't know, it's just naturally we're just so in sync together, because we do everything together. So
Yeah, you guys really are in sync. I mean, during the stage, you guys had some ups and downs. What is the environment change like for you guys to be so in sync when playoff comes, when everyone's got the pressure on their shoulders, you guys make it look so easy? Why is it so different than during the stage?
I mean, it's just BO1s are just sometimes you have a bad day, you know what I mean? It'll happen. It's easier to lose than those ones, but I think even when we'll still lose first map versus M80, but it doesn't really matter. We'll just come back swinging. You know what I mean? It's not really anything that changed. We same prep, same everything. So it's just we have more room for error, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's definitely more room for error, but you guys are obviously still punching above the weight and putting yourself one step closer to solidifying first place for the entire stage. I kind of want to talk about you Newers. Just obviously you're the newer one on this roster coming into just kind of how their structure and format is outside of game. I just want to know how much has that just developed you as a player from the start of your career into where it is now, and just in terms of that team dynamic.
It's huge. I mean, I knew before joining it was before joining it was I knew it was definitely gonna be extreme, but you get used to it, and honestly it's for the better, because I'm a lot more grateful, and I have a lot more gratitude towards everything I do, and it's just it is hard in the moment, but when you're done through the morning and you did all that hard stuff, and then you get to during the day, you just feel so much better. I don't know, I just feel better mentally, physically. You know what I mean?
Have you ever told Fultz you're not doing a strat, or was that just me?
Yeah, I'm not a bystander. If something's not gonna work, I'm gonna say it.
All right. Either way, you guys have now qualified for Munich. You're in the grand finals. There is obviously still two slots left for the international to go to Munich from the side of NAL. There is one team that has to face you guys in the grand finals. Do you have any favorites for the last 2 teams going to Munich and the one who you want to face in the finals?
I'd actually like to play. I'd really like to play OXG, because I'm big friends with those guys, so I'd really like to rematch them in the grand finals.
Okay, so there's hope for them. They're currently in the lower bracket. They do have to crawl the way out of there. But final question from my end of things is, now that you're going to the international, you've already competed against some of these teams at EWC earlier this year under the SSG banner. Is there any team you want to rematch with, or any team that you're going like, yes, I want to go up against those guys in Munich?
No, I don't even know who's going. So.
Who's the biggest chokers that you might see at Munich?
I don't know. Everyone's very individually skilled.
Wow.
Got you with that one, didn't I?
Politically correct. All right. Either way, thank you so much for the interview. Congratulations once again. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your day off tomorrow, and we'll see you for the grand finals.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.
I really liked your questions, by the way.
Thank you.
That was like 4 questions. It was really good.
It was good.
Thanks.
Should do that more often.
You're keeping track of how many questions I'm asking. You asked 2 questions too, no? Just so that you guys at home know why they're saying that. We had this thing where it's like, let's make the interview quick so that we can go home quick.
And then you asked 4 questions.
And then I unfortunately asked 4 questions, which, yeah.
But it was some great answers. I really like seeing Newer's maturity, from when we teamed with him and up until now. I think he's definitely grown a lot, not only as a person in real life, but as a player in the game. And so he's been playing very well. Yeah,
APL is also playing, so I did an oopsie by making the interview a little bit longer. We're going to speed run through this so that we can give them a little bit of the light of day, starting off with the highlights from the match that we've just seen.
Yeah, that round 2 that we saw was an absolute throw from SR. I mean, it just looked like SSG had the momentum, they had the energy, and at the end, we also heard them saying, oh, now they want to get aggressive, and I think that really paints a picture. SR was playing in a way not to lose, not to make mistakes, and up until they were up 6-0, that's when they got aggressive, or once SSG was up 6-0, that's when SR got aggressive, and I think that was the biggest downfall for SR.
Yeah, the bracket also played out with SSG going straight into that grand final. SR now in the lower bracket, OXG in that lower bracket, M80 in that lower bracket. Don't think that's how most of us expected this to play out, Lax.
No, me and Fox, Fox said it for me, but to see the top fall to the bottom, now backs against the wall, there might be a world where M80 doesn't end up qualifying, which then it would mean their entire stage was for naught. And even for Auction, all the strides that they've been making, all the hype that's there is a very realistic world neither of these two do end up making it to Munich.
I can see it happening. I can see it happening.
Stop.
DZ, because I predicted the top, I'm going to predict it again. DZ beats M80, and then OXG beats Wildcard.
How the turns have tabled. We also have the Blacklight detail, which is on, even though they didn't necessarily win the series, it's going to be going to Spoit, because this man was so locked in, dead set on at least qualifying to Munich today.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying that he got 4Ks in their matchup against OXG, so despite SR losing in their final match, when it mattered most, Spoit was able to show up. And again, it was a big team effort to have the information for Spoit to be able to find success, but to be a player, have all that pressure on your shoulders, and get those kills in succession, round after round after round, amazing.
Yeah, great performance from the side of SR, but however, they do drop into that lower bracket, which means they have to play another game tomorrow. No, the day after tomorrow, because tomorrow we have OXG Wildcard, Dark Zero, M80. This is our first day looking at that lower bracket. 2 winners will continue into that final game tomorrow, which will allow them to not also qualify for Munich. But crazy, tomorrow we're saying goodbye to 2 teams.
It is crazy, but it's the beauty and the nature of the game as well. As for the Auction Wildcard game, I'm actually a little nervous for Wildcard given their performance and having to sit idle while Oxygen. They did play a very close game. It could have went either way had a few things been fixed up, so I have no doubt they're going to fix going into tomorrow. But then that next matchup, DZ versus M80, that should be the most...
You good, bro?
That should be the most exciting one.
M80 loses, Wildcard loses. That's my predictions.
Wow.
That's my predictions.
If it's right, then yeah. Whatever that is. It's been a long day, guys. We're just gonna head over to bed. They're not doing okay. I'm not okay because I've been stuck with this all day. Instead, we're gonna leave you guys and you're gonna enjoy the entertainment from APAC as they have their games going on as well. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care.